Hey everybody, so I figured that we would start and try and do something a little bit different this time around. I had downloaded Audacity, so we're going to be using that to kind of do a voiceover for this entire episode, primarily because I want to get used to using Audacity for some future projects, as well as to kind of get some practice in doing voiceover in general. For the most part, a lot of my content is done live, so recording and doing all of this other stuff is kind of new to me, and it's going to be a little bit of a learning process as I go along. Hopefully, this doesn't take too much growing pains to get used to doing it. However, for the most part, it's going to take maybe 1 or 3 more episodes or something like that. To kind of explain what we're going to be doing for the rest of this episode, however, I'm just going to go ahead and get cracked into it. We are going to be building a alchemy/enchanting building with an added watchtower on it. Currently on the screen, you guys may be seeing me start to build the structural portion and frame of the building itself. This building, like the rest of the castle, is going to be made out of primarily stone brick, cobblestone, and either smooth stone or smooth andesite. The first portion of this building is going to be 2 stories. The other one is going to be 1 story. This is going to add a little bit of depth into the actual build, so that way it's a little bit different. It's not all homogeneous, and it'll also add a little bit of variety into the actual build itself, so that way it's a little different. We don't want it all looking the exact same way, because if it looks all the same, then it's not going to look as great, at least to me anyway. So here, we're going to speed it up a little bit as I start to build the rest of the frame. I like to kind of build the top end portion of it a little bit faster than I do the rest, and then you can start to see me build the A-frame of where the roof is going to go. Once we finish the A-frame, we're going to start putting the studs and the semi-battlements on it. And then we fill in the rest of that with cobblestone so that we actually have a place to put our stairs/rooftop. You can see that I actually start to fill in the A-frame portion as well, and that way we can start working on the second portion of the floor. Or rather, the second story bit, anyway. We'll add the rest of the supports in, and we'll go all the way around the second story before we start working on the first story. You can kind of see me check where the other pillars are going to be so that I can mismatch them and make the build a little bit more interesting to look at from the exterior side of it all. Here, I'm starting to work on the second building, and you may notice after we actually start with the, or rather after we finish with the frame, you may notice a little bit of a difference once we come back and do the jump cut, because it's going to be a little bit larger, it's going to be a little bit different. Because I made a little bit of a miscalculation when I started to build this portion of the building. Initially I was going off of a creative world design that I had made, and it doesn't quite translate with what I'm wanting to do here because I kind of modified it. So you might notice that now it's flush with where the tower is going to be, and it's a little bit longer than the rest of the other side as well. It's longer than the 2-story bit. But now we're working on the tower itself. This tower is going to be relatively tall, but not super tall. I didn't want it to be super towering over everything around the castle or otherwise, primarily because it's not going to be the main watchtower, nor is it going to be a primary watchtower, but I did want this building to have a tower on it to begin with. Here we're just doing the same thing. We're just going through and we are adding in the little mock battlements before moving on to the flooring. The flooring is going to be our usual spruce wood and cobblestone combination. I quite like how I actually did this shot. I did an overhead view, which I think is really cool when filling in floors. And now we're going to undo a lot of the floors so that we can add staircases, and then we're going to refill in the floors before we start working on the walls of the second floor. Filling in the bottom row with smooth andesite, and then we're adding in all of the minor details as well as filling it all in with cobblestone. I am making spaces for where windows are going to be, That way I know where they're going to go later on in the build. This can help you plan out where the windows are going to be, as well as save a little bit of material for later portions. Now we're filling in the room, or rather the floors of each room of the tower. We're just doing the same kind of formula that we did before. It's going to be semi-cobble, semi-wood. We're just moving up as we go along, and we're filling in the floor as we go. Now we cut to a first-person view. I've slowed it down a little bit because now we're going to be working on a lot of the roofing. As always, I like to add in the supports here. I like to think that it makes it look a little bit better on the interior. Here I'm kind of determining what I want to do next. I look at the tower, and I notice that I don't really have any cobblestone. After I made some warped planks and warped stairs, I went ahead and started to work on the roof. Since this is going to be a magical building, I wanted the rooftop to be a little bit different than just normal wood. So I went ahead and went to the nether and gathered some warped wood, warped planks, and I started to make the roof blue. Because nothing speaks magic like blue. What was really nice about this rooftop as well is it took so little warped stairs. It only took about 3 stacks of warped planks to craft. And I think it took a little bit less than 2 full stacks of warped stairs, which is really useful. I had to come back with the cobblestone. And that is the primary building's roof almost finished. We just have to do the interior portions of it, but the exterior is actually fully finished. Once we're finished with this portion, we have to go and sort out the rest of the tower. Before we do the tower, however, we are going to end up doing a little bit of interior design on the alchemy/enchanting room. We're going to add these little indents for the doors. We're going to place some lanterns around and whatnot. Trying to determine how I want this to look. I like to put lanterns right above the doorways whenever I actually make these arched ways. Makes it look a little bit better, plus it keeps and makes sure that monsters don't spawn, which is always a plus. Now we're actually working on walling the tower. We are going to be making some spaces for the windows, as well as putting in a lantern at the rooftop. This is going to ensure that the room is entirely lit, monsters won't be able to spawn inside, and it also prevents us from having to finagle around with the walls and placing torches. If you've ever made one of these towers, you are well aware that sometimes it's hard to place a torch in the proper spot and make it look decent. Once we get to the top, it's time to start working on the exterior of the tower. The exterior details of the tower are just as important as the interior details, and here we're going to be lining it inside of what kind of looks like some battlements, but really it's just some exterior detail to make it a little bit more interesting to look at, as opposed to just a straight up block and down tower. Primarily, these details are consisting as full cobblestone blocks, cobblestone stairs, as well as cobblestone slabs. I wanted it to contrast with the rest of the structure, which is primarily stone brick and smooth andesite, and so I chose to use cobblestone as opposed to either stone brick or andesite. And here I'm working on the actual battlements of the tower top. This portion is a little bit harder to build, so we had to go and jump off of it to actually put in some dirt supports. Unfortunately, I haven't found any bamboo, but hopefully whenever we do set up the realm, I have a friend who's going to be doing some Lewis and Clarking to kind of determine what kind of terrain and biomes that we have to deal with. Hopefully he'll be able to find some so that I can make some scaffolding. The beauty of this design at the top, though, by making sure that the battlements are away from the initial tower structure, we can do what is Shadiversity's favorite thing, which is machicolations, which are where you can shoot down at anyone who may be below the tower itself. As you can see, there's some spaces between. You can look up to the top of the tower, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what's really neat. Here I'm just removing the dirt that we used to support it. And then we'll do a quick pan around here shortly. And here's the full pan around. Obviously there are some interior details that are kind of missing, as well as a few windows, but overall, the majority of the building is completed. I do need to add some exterior detail, but for the most part, functionally, it's all completed. Now that we're here, we're towards the end of the video. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Some upcoming news, however, is going to be coming onto the channel, as well as exclusive Twitch content. For instance, a buddy of mine are going to be working on a podcast where we deal with a lot of other stuff. It's going to be kind of like, not necessarily a full review of games that we've played, but we'll be talking about games that we played, why we liked them, why we disliked them, features that we really enjoyed, features that we really disliked, and that kind of thing. Overall, a large majority of my content is going to be on Twitch. That content is always going to be relatively exclusive, minus a few highlights that will be posted to this channel. If you would like to join us and participate in our live streams, then the link to my Twitch channel is going to be in the description below. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I will try and do some more voiceovers, but be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps me out. I'll see you guys next time.